Welcome to the Alexa Innovator Series. My name is Emerson Sklar. I'm the Chief Evangelist of Amazon Alexa, and I'm joined today by Dani Alexander-Lopez, the Head of Product for Fresha. Dani, thank you for joining.
I'm glad to be here.
So tell us about Fresha.
So Fresha is a online booking platform for small and medium businesses in beauty and wellness. And we've become a vertical SaaS player beyond bookings to do payments and everything else that a small business needs to run in beauty and wellness.
Fantastic. And you've always taken a sort of technology-forward approach to serving the more than 130,000 business partners that you have, the millions and millions of customers that you have in more than 120 different countries. But for years, you've been experimenting with AI and now certainly agentic AI. Tell us about the first major breakthrough that you had with agentic AI.
Our journey with AI has been maybe a bit longer than we originally anticipated, and I think it had different stages. I think initially it was a bit of a foundation. When Gen AI first reached the mainstream with ChatGPT, we started using it pretty heavily in our own content creation. We started using it in security as well, and a bunch of back-end areas that would help improve the software for our partners. But it wasn't kind of full widespread adoption. I think what changed there is we had, an aha moment with one of our products. We were in the process before AI of providing a concierge customer support service where you could contact somebody to help you either with account setup, but even with business advice. And initially we were scoping that as kind of a premium service and just in English speaking countries. But we operate in 120 countries, and it was always a compromise. The beauty with AI is this allowed us to actually start building a conversational chatbot that had all the knowledge about Fresha already readily available for our partners. And so we completely changed the scope of the project from being a kind of premium concierge service for English-speaking countries only to extending it to our entire partner base across 120 countries, available 24/7. And we just included it in our standard subscription because we no longer had to have the same level of costs. And it really helped with a lot of our underlying CSAT scores and metrics for our partners. Our partners rated the interactions with these chatbots over 4.6 CSAT, which is comparable with their interactions with our own team. And we see them really happy with the extra knowledge and extra expertise. And for me personally, as somebody who grew up not in the UK, I find it really impactful that we were able to offer that in every country in the world, whatever somebody preferred to speak to Fresha.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then I think the final stage after that, with that aha moment of delivering value to those partners, we then have moved into, a more AI native space where we've embedded AI throughout all of our processes. I think especially since the launch of Claude Claude's Opus in October last year. So we've seen a real acceleration in our AI-generated code, which means that we've now hit over 90% of our code being fully AI-generated. We've seen some of the investments we made in the foundational architecture and processes over the last 2 years begin to pay off. Every month we're seeing the acceleration, and we're just figuring out more and more ways to embed it into our process and save ourselves time. So yeah, agentic AI has been super impactful, both from the client side, but also even internally in how we build features as a SaaS company.
One of the things that was critical for us when we developed and even just started to ideate with Alexa Plus was to ensure that every experience that someone builds, whether Amazon built it, whether our partners built it, make sure that everything follows kind of the conversational AI best practices that we've learned and developed over the last decade plus that we've had the original Alexa, but still be able to let the brands shine, let them be able to bring their expertise, the persona, the type of marketing content, because customers want to have a relationship with the companies that they love. They love the relationship with Alexa. They love the relationship that they have with Fresha. And you guys do that too. You let your business partners bring their brands onto your platform while still following some of the best practices that you've established for the entire industry. How do you balance that sort of flexibility there with letting them bring their content, bring their services, bring their personality to shine for their customers while still adhering to the interaction best practices, the security guardrails, the customer obsession that I think both of our companies have?
I think it's a really good question. There's a lot of tension for our partners as well. As I said, we operate with over 120 countries, 130,000 partners. They're not all the same size. Sure. Some of them are down to an individual person running a business. Others are kind of massive chains that are worldwide. And I think between those two, there's a different feeling around how much they should control their experience and their interaction with their clients. And so what we see as our role in that experience is we want to do all the automation and simplicity of the admin. We want to provide the best practices, including things like security, where our partners might not be the best first. Yeah. But we also want to give them the space to express themselves. For our industry, it's really important that the end client has an experience with the business themselves. The service that they provide is in person as well. And so it's important that the personality of that business shines through. And so we rely really heavily on content that our businesses themselves create, be it imagery, text, anything like that that helps bring to light the personality of each of those businesses. We rely really heavily on reviews as well. I think we've taken a lot of learnings from Amazon there too. And so I think that's where we felt the Alexa partnership was a really natural place to start, because you already have a very good set of knowledge of conversational AI in a way that we think agentic is going to move towards for our industry as well. And we want to leverage that expertise as well for our clients. I also think, as I said, a lot of our clients are maybe not the most technologically forward. And Alexa is naturally a product that, because it's voice first, is people find very simple to use. And so we want to lean on the expertise of partners like Amazon to help us navigate that AI step into agentic AI led through voice.
As people become more comfortable with agents, which is happening at a pace that I frankly would not have expected even just a few years ago, that people are expecting more and more for the agent to be a sort of a comprehensive, kind of an all-in-one solution that does both very simple tasks as well as kind of end-to-end activities for them. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way that we break down the journeys that our customers go on is, one, there's a very strong repeat booking journey. Sure. People don't trust just anybody in the street with their hair. As I mentioned, we've relied a lot on learnings from Amazon around reviews and things like that to build that confidence. But once we have a client-business relationship, it does tend to continue. The other core journey is obviously discovery. People try to find new businesses. They're always looking to feel better. And in the wellness industry, that discovery part is a big part of the experience. And so here's where we really wanted to rely on Amazon's experience, bringing people onto a voice forward approach to help our clients discover new booking experiences and have the full experience end to end, be it booking initially, rescheduling, recommending specific venues. We wanted to be able to map all of it out. I think Amazon's focus on trust and customer trust and transparency is the same approach that we're trying to take with AI. I think because we're technologically slightly more forward maybe than the industry that we're serving, it's important for us to reiterate to our users, both the clients and the businesses, when we are using AI, where the recommendation is coming from, and that they know kind of how it works. And so I think that's what fit naturally for us with Alexa.
I love the notion of having the kind of customer's best interests, the customer's trust that they built with you and with the business partners that you have over years, making sure that you respect and maintain that, even while embracing some of the benefits that modern AI can bring. And I think your industry is a little unique compared to maybe some of the others that we work with, in that ultimately the service that your business partners provide has to be delivered by a human. It like literally and metaphorically requires that human touch. So how do you balance the potential benefits that your organization or your business partners or the end customer can get from like agentic automation, while still ensuring that you give that personal touch, you give that human element to the customer?
I think it's a really important point. I think the way the industry thinks about it is the core service you are providing is that personal connection. It is, yes, you need a human to deliver it, but it's also actually the interaction with the person whilst the service is being provided that I think our clients and businesses see as their core business. I think ironically for us as a software provider in the space, our job is kind of to get out of the way and to automate away as many of the kind of admin tasks that detract from the time that people spend actually doing the thing they love, which is providing that service, connecting with clients, and making them feel better. And so I think with AI, it's a similar challenge on a different scale. We're able to automate a whole lot more of those jobs that they don't want to do themselves. The simplest example of this pre-AI is rescheduling a booking. You don't want to be cutting somebody's hair and then be distracted from the main service you're providing just to go back to do, take a phone call, move a booking from one column in the calendar to another, and then go back to the service that you're providing. Online bookings allowed people to start rescheduling it themselves. With AI, it's a whole other level of allowing these small business owners to focus on the thing they love most, which is providing the service.
Yeah, and then imagine when it becomes much more proactive, when an agent like Alexa perhaps can know that you have a conflict and be able to automatically reschedule that without even needing the customer in the loop to perform that.
Yes, that's super interesting. We have a number of what we call smart features, where we help our businesses do things like that. So manage conflicts, manage pricing surges, things like that. But AI is going to allow us to take that to a whole new level for our businesses and really optimize it for them in a way that a lot of them who are first-time business owners maybe don't know. They don't have that external information or that external guidance on how to optimize their business in that way. And we can provide that service because we work with, over 120 countries, over 130,000 businesses. We have that experience to be able to help them level up their business.
And that's an amazing scale for what is a pretty lean organization, right? So you're not just using this technology to optimize your business partner's experience and to optimize the end customer's experience, you're using it for your own internal optimization as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've used it really heavily in two ways. Our strategy has always been to be worldwide, and we find a lot more commonalities between what clients need everywhere in the world than we find differences. And I think that's being borne out by our growth. With that, unfortunately, come challenges. We have different legislation in all these markets, even translations and things like that. We are a relatively small team for the size of business that we are. And AI has allowed us to accelerate all of that, from security to compliance to handling legislation to live translating everything that we do. Yeah, it's really helped us fulfill those global ambitions.
Yeah.
And I guess the other way that we're using it really heavily is, obviously, we're a software company. We are seeing that one of the heavy applications of AI is in building software. We are a vertical SaaS platform that tries to pull together as many of the different software tools that our small businesses use onto one platform. And with AI, we are able to move a lot faster. We're seeing a 2 to 3x increase in the speed at which we're delivering. Over 90% of our code is AI-generated now, and we've seen it really, really accelerate since probably about October last year, with, I'm sure as everybody else, using the latest Claude models to help accelerate our software development. And so I think consolidating that vertical SaaS play and bringing everything into a nice, seamless, integrated platform for our businesses is where we're seeing AI have a real, real impact.
Was the adoption of like agentic coding tools or agentic customer-facing products, was that adoption easy and seamless, building on top of the technology that you've had for a decade plus, or did it require some, like significant re-architecture to get there?
It's a good question. It wasn't as seamless as it appears now, is what I'd say. From early doors, we had some early adopters in the organization that helped push it. But I think a lot of the initial work was actually not so glamorous. I think we had to do a few things like looking at our processes for software development, building trust with our engineers that the AI code was working well, things like automated rollbacks, slow releases, checking with clients. These are kind of things that built the confidence for our engineers to then develop with AI. And then the other kind of core part of unglamorous plumbing is we had to re-architect loads of things, including the way that we structured our data. So we want to make sure our data is legible to AI agents, and we want to generate as much content as possible to help AI agents and LLMs have context about Fresha. So things like images, descriptions, but even the way that we vend our availability, services, pricing, all these kind of things are things that we have to restructure, make them real time, in partnership with AWS, to make sure that these were available for LLMs and AI agents to use effectively. And so that's been a long process. That's taken us, 1.5 to 2 years. And the nice thing is now we're reaping the rewards of that. We're able to move a lot faster as a result of those investments that we made early on. I don't think we would have got to over 90% AI-generated code if we didn't have the confidence of the engineers as they're generating it, that the results are going to be what they match, and that we're not going to cause client-facing issues or incidents as a result of that additional trust in the AI generated code.
Yeah, and how do you maintain like your internal trust of the AI systems as you scale so rapidly and so broadly?
It's a challenge, I think, to maintain that trust in systems. I think the biggest one is our experience. We are seeing more features roll out. We are seeing fewer incidents. We have managed to do things like reduce our number of security incidents down by 99% using AI. So I think, the proof is in the pudding, and the output is what is building our confidence. I think what we really needed to do initially was get over that initial hurdle of friction or concern. And then once we're seeing the results, then it's kind of reinforcing, and people are adopting AI in more and more ways, every day across Russia.
It's amazing that you've had the level of success again with moving so quickly. What advice would you give your past self from 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago?
Um, so I think, to be honest, the last 3 years have probably changed the most at any point in my career in terms of how product development happens. I think what I would reassure myself 3 years ago is that a lot of the fundamentals stay the same. AI has changed how quickly we're delivering our roadmap, and maybe there's a few features where AI is a really good solution to the problem that we want to bring to our businesses. But it's still super important for us to stay focused on the exact same problems that our end users had before. And I think AI doesn't necessarily change those things. Similarly, a lot of our growth has been partner-led. It's our businesses recommending our software to each other. And in order to do that, we've had to have a really high quality bar on the software that we produce. And that, again, hasn't changed with AI. Maintaining that quality bar whilst increasing the speed is one of the key challenges that we've had ahead of ourselves. So if I had to go back, I'd remind myself that a lot of the core product fundamentals are the same, and to stay laser focused on the prioritization of the problems that we're solving and maintaining the quality bar that we've had before. I think agentic AI in particular is really going to change how our clients interact with our businesses. I think where we will end up will be a few consolidated software players that have fully integrated platforms that are very easy for an individual to use. I don't expect those individuals to build their own software. I think we can make better decisions at scale for them and allow them to customize within our platform. I think their interaction with clients and this whole concept of automating the admin of doing these bookings is going to go a whole step further. I think online bookings was kind of a first big jump, which I know sounds crazy to say in 2026, but I think agentic is going to be the next step where we will trust LLMs to do the bookings for us, to do the recommendations as to what we should be booking, and it will change the way our businesses operate, where they won't necessarily need to spend as much time in front of the computer actually managing the business, and they can focus on the services that they're providing.
Very, very interesting. And I guess an additional question, we've talked a lot about the successes, about the benefits that agentic technology has brought you and your end customers. It's not always a success, right? Were there any interesting initial challenges that you faced? Anything that you can think back to where you may have learned a lesson from some of the difficulties you encountered?
Yeah, I think our industry is very visual, very image-led. And so a lot of the content that we need to produce is images. It's not written documents or things like that. And so when we were producing our marketing content, this actually generated a really big opportunity for us as we grew to build out performance marketing advertising at scale. And we could immediately create videos and things like that in the style that we liked. And at first glance, they looked really good. They looked very appealing, very dynamic, energetic. And I remember there was one specific advert that we were pulling together, and we had cut together a few different clients, one of whom was a woman with quite long hair, which she was kind of swishing around dynamically, very appealing, until we realized that AI had made it not just swish her hair around, but had actually made her rotate her head a full 360, as if she was in The Exorcist, which ironically, because AI was so convincing, we actually didn't notice until the final cut.
Yeah.
Which luckily we stopped going out into production, of course. But yeah, moments like that where it made us then comb through all the videos with a real fine-tooth comb to make sure that we hadn't missed any kind of logical inconsistencies that AI might not have picked up on.
The haircut is scarily good, I guess, at that point.
Turn heads.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dani, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for the partnership. I look forward to seeing what Fresha and Alexa can do together.
No, thank you for having us. We're very excited about the partnership. We think, as I say, it's very early days for agentic AI for beauty and wellness, but we think, from 2026 onwards, it's going to be a huge change, and we're excited that Alexa's on that journey with us.
Amazing.